Hello fellow authors, we're back with another harmful writing advice video. I know you love the series too, and it was quite some time I did one of those videos, and today we'll talk about something that I'm not sure if it's not talked enough on YouTube or if it is talked in a way that is not quite well done. We'll talk about right to market. What is right to market? Right to market is an indie publishing term. It was popularized by science fiction author Chris Fox with his book Right to Market. And if you want to know more about this book, you can go and watch my review of it. But I made this video because I want to talk about the concept of right to market as well as some of the misconception, I guess, or how it is tossed around in a completely different way than what it means. And before I go on why it's a good idea to write to market, because harmful writing advice is all about very good advice that are often tossed around out of context and become bad, sort of like fruit. If you toss fruit around, it will go bad, even though it's good for your health. Then I'll say how it can harm you, or why it harms you. And there have been many discussions on writing communities about right to market. Sometimes they are indignant because writing is about the art, the artistry, the craft. It's about writing what you want and how you want it to some people. And I get that point. It's no fun writing a book that you don't want to write. Alright? However, let's take a look at the traditional publishing side for a minute, because we have this system there. We have the agent who reads your pitch or listens to your pitch and then takes the manuscript, and they judge whether or not this manuscript, this book, is viable in the market. And sometimes an agent will say, no, it's not viable, and you should write something else, or you should grow your platform. If your manuscript is accepted by your agent, then it will be sold to a publisher, and this publisher buys the book based on what the market is like. If they believe they can sell it, they will buy it. If not, hardly so. Maybe they'll do it as a gamble, but mostly publishers buy books from writers to sell them to readers. And finally, in this chain, you have your editor that will give you notes about how you can make your book better, aka better fit in the genre and the trends in the market, as well as how to make it more enjoyable for readers so they will want more of you. So basically, a big part of the traditional publishing business is making your book marketable. And then you have some veteran authors on the traditional publishing side, and they will pick the books they will write based on what they can sell. I mean, I remember that Alexa Dawn, an author-tuber, popular one, she was writing YA sci-fi, and because she had some videos that sci-fi doesn't sell, she wrote a thriller book, because thrillers do sell. So that's the traditional side of the industry, and that's what professionals do. They produce books people want to buy and read, and that's very important. You shouldn't forget that you're publishing books people want to read. Now, if we go to the indie author side, the indie authors are also their own publishers, and they should do this themselves, at least if they want to make money. And right to market is basically researching the market, seeing what's out there, seeing what sells, why it sells, to whom it sells, and making sure your books will also sell. And part of writing to market is picking an idea you have that is more likely to sell. Traditional publishers can always publish an unsellable book, but it doesn't matter because they have at least 30 more books available to them at any time they can sell. So they can publish a lot of stuff, and a couple of them will cover the losses of the less fortunate ones. An indie author, though, doesn't have this opportunity at all. If they publish a book they cannot sell, then they have to write another one that does sell while being on a pinch because they don't get enough money from the book, the unsellable book they published. In a big way, Indie publishing means that you have to conform to existing markets in order to get extra sales, because creating a new market is extremely hard. Even for the big publishing houses in New York, they cannot create new markets. They can only identify emerging markets and try to grow them and make them popular. Again, you have to publish books people want to read, and making them want to read some books they don't want to read is hard. The problem with Road to Market is that way too many times authors read articles, they read advice in social media groups, they watch videos on YouTube, and there is way too much material out there. So they get overwhelmed with those information and they get analysis paralysis. So if you're interested in learning more about how to write to market, this book, I can tell you what write to market does not mean. It does not mean that you have to write romance or little RPG or whatever sells this week. Not if you have zero interest in it. I mean, if I go out and write, a series of clean romances, it will bomb because I'm not the audience for those books. I haven't read these books, I don't care about these books. So trying to write in this genre will be a stupid idea. And if you try to write in a genre you don't care about, you don't know much about, writing to market is pitching your idea, your book that will sell. And it's not about selling out. It's still about writing your book. It's not about blindly following tropes, but it's about following some of the tropes that people enjoy and making sure you show them that the tropes they enjoy, they are in there. It's mostly about doing your research before you write the book or during writing the book, not just after you finish the book and say, now how can I sell this stinker? So you have to go out, read what sells and find those audiences and niches that are hungry for books like your books and write to them. And this creates easier sales. And you have to love this stuff, because if you don't, it shows. A cash grab won't make it. I mean, okay. You may say, alright, that's very interesting, you cishet white dude, but you know what, I want to write something very niche. I want to write a space opera with LGBTQIA representation, and you don't know about that because blah blah blah. And believe me, I've heard that from professional. But if you want to write your personal crossover, your space opera with LGBTQIA themes, you can do it. Alright, if you go through Write to Market, you will find out that in space opera, you have to have a straight dude as a protagonist most of the time. And if you don't do that, you will definitely lose some sales. However, if you want to do that, space opera with LGBTQ themes, then Write to Market says go out there and see if there are other authors who do the same thing, and if they're popular, and especially indie authors, because there's a difference between indie and trad-published authors. And if you find authors that have success doing that, research them, see what they do, see who their audience is and what they want, what other books they read, and target them with your book in order to sell it. Yes, it's not the easiest way, you can do it, but it's still viable to publish a niche book and actually make some sales. But you have to be smart about it. Of course, if you have a passion project and you don't want to change it, you can always self-publish it, you can always pitch it around and say if you can get a publisher interested in it. I mean, publishing a book is easy, just get a budget, get a cover and self-publish it, and tell your friends about it, tell your platform about it, and maybe you'll see some sales coming in. It's not that hard. However, KDP is brutal, and if a book is not vibing with an existing market, it will probably sink. There are exceptions, of course. It can always be different and vibe with people, or it can be a totally by the book, by this book and also sink. But it's brutal. Just if you self-publish your passion project, don't expect it to sell millions. Even if you publish a very commercial book, don't expect it to sell millions. I think the main problem, the main way that Write to Market becomes harmful writing advice is because it is taken as writing advice, and it's not. Write to Market is purely a publishing advice, but this publishing advice comes before you start writing, and during your writing process, or your editing process, I'm editing a novel right now, and I'm just breaking it into smaller and smaller chapters. I want to avoid doing a scene a chapter as many indie authors do. However, I've read some ebooks, some indie published books, and they do a scene a chapter, and it makes sense on Kindle because you can jump right to the scene you have left the book through a hyperlink because it's a chapter. So I'm breaking the chapters into smaller chunks. I don't want to do the scene per chapter because I hate this thing. However, I'll make smaller chapters so it's easier for people to read it, because that is what is expected in this scene. That's what other people do. So yeah, that's an example of writing to market. But basically, what write to market fails to clarify most of the time is that it's not about being an author, it's about putting your publisher hat on, or your professional author hat on, and doing stuff you may not enjoy as much or not like as much, but you like a little, because you need the enthusiasm to go through writing, and write your book this way, in a way that it is a viable product. Yes, you have to view your love child, your book, as a product in write to market, and you have to make this distinction, compartmenting, and put in the boxes, how you call it, compartmentalize or something, and understand that yes, I'm writing to enjoy myself, but if I want to have a book out, I have to make sure that people will also enjoy it, and people who will enjoy it will be able to find it. And in the end, writing to market is exactly that, writing books that people want to read. So yeah, if you write a book you don't want to write, you don't enjoy writing, it shows, it creates a bad book, it creates another Drek, another ebook in a pile of ebooks that people won't enjoy. You'll burn out if you write books you don't enjoy. Okay, if you want the money and you get the money out of those books, more power to you. I hope this video helped you. Hope it cleared some things about writing to market. And final word of advice, if you consider writing to market, please go read the goddamn fucking book. Alright? Read this book, and it will clear a lot of things about the process and what you should do. And fucking read other people's books, okay? Because you need to do that in order to write to market. You have to know what's marketed. As always, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe for more videos like that, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.